Good morning.
I just wanted to ask you about UPL. And those who've been kind of following or closely follow this team obviously know the trajectory of this kid. But for maybe the more average fan who might be picking up the newspaper or clicking on a web article and wants to learn about what they're about to see, I guess from where you sit and your history of developing young talent, what makes this kid special?
Well, I haven't had a lot of time with him. Obviously, he's been in Rochester. I was not. So, the bit that I have watched him, it's clear to see, his athletic ability, already his positional knowledge, his size. He has a presence. There is a definite presence to him in the net. So, to the quick eye test, he's been fun to watch and see. And I'm like anybody else, like we all are. We're waiting for. We're getting excited to see him at the next level, the next step. We waited a couple days, obviously, to have him here to acclimate to the surroundings as much as he could. We're playing the same opponent again, so he's been able to watch them. He's had the time to prepare for this, which is better, I think. And like anyone else, I'm excited to see him in there.
And you talked about the younger kids are starting to take ownership of the team and those types of things. And since Kyle's been out, you haven't given out the A. Have you given some thought maybe to give it to one of the young guys like Casey Middlestat, just to help him even more take ownership of the team and have a little bit of a responsibility from that standpoint?
Yeah, we haven't thought much on it to this point, other than that, we knew we had an option to add another. It was just a short discussion. Didn't feel that, at that time, a few days ago when Kyle went out, that we would do it. As we progress here, something like that would be considered, but we're not there yet. I don't think. We do have a lot of young guys. You saw how young our defensive group was. Obviously, Tokarski and Nat hasn't been in the league in a few years. And up front, we have a couple of lines that are considered young guys. So, we're evolving. And I think, obviously there's a lot for those guys to be concentrating on within themselves and target within themselves. So, I guess I could share with you my first thought is, I don't want to pull them out of that and say, hey, now you need to represent and lead, a bunch of others, for example, because again, we're evolving our game. Those players are evolving their game, and that demands a lot of focus and concentration game to game. And I don't want to be a disruption to that.
Don, how do you feel those young defensemen have really evolved the last few weeks? I mean, particularly the ones who have been in the lineup, Bryson, Dali, and Yoki Haru, away from the puck in the defensive zone. You guys haven't been giving up a lot 5-on-5 in terms of quality chances.
Yeah, we've been much better and much more comfortable within our own zone, which is why we were comfortable putting, the 6D in the lineup that we did last night, 5 of them being very young. I don't think Darlene and Yoki were themselves last night. I think Dowles had some frustration in his game, and the two of them didn't look like themselves. But it was more. It wasn't a situation where they were overwhelmed or were in jeopardy of losing confidence. It was just, they just didn't play the way they normally play. So I do like our core. I feel they've grasped. Borgen was the one guy I was concerned with because we've had some changes in how we defend, and he hasn't had a lot of practice time, and he was good. So there'll still be an acclimation period for him based on just watching, but he has such a strong base of confidence and competitiveness and skill that it overrides most of any concern I would have at this point.
Don, why is now the right time for Ukko-Pekka, just in terms of giving him that first NHL start? It could have been, I guess, the last week of the season or a random game earlier, but why is now the right time, in your opinion?
Well, I think situations dictate a lot. And clearly the situation we're in is one that presents an opportunity, a greater opportunity to do this and to have him have his first game. We're just not healthy enough. Had Hutton and Linus both healthy right now, this wouldn't be happening right now. So that cleared way for this opportunity. And the fact that we all feel that we're much more confident defending as a group, as a unit of 5 defensive pairs. So we feel we're bringing him into a situation that's better than it was a few weeks ago, as an example. So I think all of that ties in. And then, his growth and maturity is a factor as well.
Don, through all your years of coaching and developing, is goaltending the hardest position to predict what a player might become? Well,
it probably is in many senses, Brian. But it's scary because they're the last line of defense. So it's like everybody's mistake before a goal happens is still going to fall on their plate if the goal happens. So they're carrying a lot of burden and weight, and they've got to be able to handle that, the psychology of that and that component. So yes, it's challenging. You mentioned some of the young guys. I had Thatcher Demko, and his progression from the American League to the NHL, I thought was good for him, knowing him as a person and as a player, and he's done exceptionally well with it. But I think it's person to person, because you're going to bear that burden when you're the last line of defense. I mean, that goal's going in. The first place people look is, was it a good goal or a bad goal by the goaltender? And then after that, okay, then how about the defenseman or the forward or the situation prior? So you have to be able to handle that beyond the technical components. And that's why I say we want to do our best job to make sure we insulate and, help limit mistakes on our end, being defensemen and forwards.
Don, 2 questions. First one, other than in goal, will you make any other changes for the game tonight? And second of all, the vaccination effort. Have you guys done anything more as a team from a vaccination standpoint?
Yeah, I'll have Chris follow up on the vaccination stuff, on details of that. The lineup tonight, just the goaltending change. We'll go with the same lineup. We did not skate this morning. We had a meeting this morning. Everybody was fine, so I would expect that will be the case for tonight.
Hey, Don, John Warrow with the AP. You mentioned Hutton. What is the plan going forward? Is there any update on Carter's status, and do you anticipate him being at all available over the final 2 weeks of the season?
We have not ruled him out over the final 2 weeks, and I believe that he will have an opportunity to play the final 2 weeks health-wise. And if he is healthy, he will get in there. So it looks good to that. I haven't learned otherwise that would be the case. If I do, I'll share that. But at this point, that is still, at least hopeful. I would say probable, and I'll have Chris follow up. I haven't got a report on him in the last couple of days because it's been, that injury is a progression one as far as the rehab and coming back, and it could be a quick one. So I'll follow up on that and give you guys some more information as I receive it. But that is where that's the information I have at this point.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah.